Hello, everybody, and welcome. Anybody who's watching, remember if you want to chat, make sure you chat on the YouTube chat or on the Twitch chat because I don't see it from the Facebook chat. And also, I have to apologize. Probably it's been a long day, and I wound up eating a veggie burger yesterday that had I think MSG, and that is my kryptonite. And so, probably about a half an hour ago, I was laying down and I couldn't see because I had a migraine. A very mild one, but when you can't see, it's really hard to read. So, I laid down, I had some protein, not with MSG. Think I'm going to be okay to read, but I apologize if I seem a little bit dippy because I am right now. And hey, Regina. So, welcome. I'm going to be reading Giving the Devil His Due, my story in Giving the Devil His Due, which is Justice League. And then I'm going to be doing a giveaway. And to enter the giveaway, let me share my screen here real quick. Let's see. I might be able to do this. Share screen. I want to make sure I share the right screen. But anyways, I will just tell you, we won't try to do that. If you would like to enter the drawing, it's going to be on this channel. Anybody who chats in Facebook or Twitch, again, on YouTube, on YouTube or Twitch. Again, I will not be able to see it if you leave a chat in Facebook, but you will be able to enter to win a copy of this book sent to you and a limited edition signed book plate. And I will show you the ones that I have. I have my Eureka stamp on these, and I've signed these. And if anybody wins while we're doing this right here, I will be able to make it out to whoever you want. Whoops. But you'll be able to win one of these. This will be sent to you along with a copy of Giving the Devil His Due. And like I said, if you're just tuning in, I had a migraine and I couldn't see about a half an hour ago, so I apologize if I seem a little bit out of it. Giving the Devil His Due is the Pixel Project's first charity short story anthology under the Read for Pixels program, and it was published in partnership with Running Wild Press. This is a really important anthology. It features 16 stories in homage to the 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence. It's one of the largest annual anti-violence against women events in the world. And I have a link to this book on Amazon if you'd like to see it. And I have a dog in the background. This is like always, this has been the most interesting, crazy day. Thank you, Dante. But I had probably better start reading this so I can do the giveaway before my world blows up. So again, I will be reading Justice League. One of the reasons why this is such an important anthology, an important project to me, is because, without getting into too much detail, I am a survivor of domestic violence, and I have seen the effects of it firsthand. I almost took my own life over it. It was the fact that I had children that stopped me. They were older at the time, but knowing that I would leave them in this world, without any protection is what stopped me that day. And, I saw it almost take their lives. So this is a really important thing to me because there's a lot of women out there right now that have no voice advocating for them. One of the things that's great about this book is there's resources in it that are hidden. So if for some reason you think you know somebody who may be having violence against them or who may be abused, you could give them a copy of this book without saying anything, without pointing anything. And there's resources in the book that they can take up on their own. But without further ado, remember, and let me put up this. This is a copy of the book. That's what it looks like up in the corner there. And I'm going to put my banner up so you can see where to enter those comments. And it is going to be typing "just us" or "give me just us" in the comments, and then we will be able to do this giveaway. at the end of this. And hey, Arlene. And again, thank you everybody for joining me. I actually am starting to feel a little bit better, but yeah, about a half an hour ago, I was not in a good place. So let us read this. Again, I'm reading Justice League from Giving the Devil His Due, and I will be giving away a copy of this with a book plate at the end of this. So wish me luck. Contrary to the name, the Glad Shop wasn't. It had been a happy place at one time. Mr. Glad did his best to live up to his name, but eventually age caught up to the sweet old man, and his son stepped in to run things. Unfortunately, Matt Glad was everything his father wasn't. Matt hired pretty young cashiers and then fired them when they wouldn't date him. He consumed whatever he wanted from the shelves, literally eating away profits. The back office was littered in wrappers, empty cans, and overflowing ashtrays. The smell traveled throughout the entire store. Where once people came from the surrounding neighborhoods to shop Glad, now they went out of their way to avoid it. Matt didn't care. He had grown up with the shop as his playground, and that hadn't changed. His best friend was Will Banger, an equally loathsome character, and his second in command. The third part of the management trio was Jack, a young kid saving up to go to business school. If it weren't for Jack, the Glad Shop would have been ruined years before. He kept things going. If not well, then the best he could. The break room in the back housed a 50s era dining room table that wobbled and a small set of salvage lockers. The walls were dingy beige cinder block flecked with decades of grime. Rumor had it the old table had witnessed a number of disgusting things, the most recent of which involved a 14-year-old bagger with shiny hair that smelled like cinnamon, and Matt and Will. Her English wasn't great, and her parents spoke it even worse, so the whole thing just seemed to evaporate. It had been Gertie, Glad Shop's matron of maintenance, that had held the crying girl. Gertie believed her, but that was no help. People listened to old female janitors even less than they listened to pretty Hispanic girls with broken English. Like using nasty mop water, Gertie often thought when she cleaned the break room. It can dry up and look okay, but the filth is still there, leaving a stink. It was under the chipped old table that Gertie first discovered the curious business card. Lying face up on an oily stain, it read, "Feeling oppressed? Let us help. The Just Us League specializes in discreetly disposing of tyrannical leadership and bullies. We guarantee our work. As a not-for-profit agency, we do not require deposits, nor will you ever receive a bill. To utilize our services, please write the name of the offender in the space provided. We promise it will remain between just us." Gertie picked the card up, read it 3 times, and flipped it over. On the back, there was a line to write on, and underneath in small black type was, "Name your tyrant," with an empty line waiting for a name. Obviously, this was a joke, but she couldn't help but daydream for a minute. As a socially awkward middle-aged woman, her life was a long line of tyrants, starting from her heavy-handed father to now. The years unwound as she watched her life collapse like a spent party balloon. If only it was as easy as the card said. It was like the working class equivalent of a magic lamp. The swinging doors slamming open around the corner startled her. She shoved the card in her pocket as Matt came in with the 6-pack. She was pinned against the lockers by his gaze. "Is this what I pay you for? To stand around here looking dumb?" Gertie couldn't answer. She just shook her head. "You're lucky I keep you on. Anyone else would fire your fat ass." Gertie bit her lip and nodded again. She knew from experience the best thing to do with words was bite them back until they tasted like blood. Her heart was trying to break its way free from her ribcage, but whether it wanted to attack or flee, she never knew. Matt stared at her and raised his eyebrows. "Well, move it, dumbass. Someone pissed all over the toilet. I've been looking for you for over an hour." Gertie jumped. "Oh, sorry. I was checking the break room." Her voice scrambled to hide as she passed by him toward the exit. Her shoulder brushed the opposite wall as she gave him a wide berth. He swiveled to watch her pass. "Oh, hey, Gertie." She stopped to listen, barely turning. Her body was one big flinch waiting to spring away. I think it might be my piss all over the toilet. He laughed and opened the fridge. Gertie left the flinch loose, and it carried her away through the swinging doors. At the bathroom, she pulled her cart up, went in, and locked the door. It was a mess, all right, and she didn't doubt that Matt had done this. He frequently left puddles of urine for her to clean up. He thought it was funny. She wanted to punch him in his vacant, spoiled face. If only that card wasn't a joke. She pulled it out of her pocket and read it again. If only. There was a pin or two in her cart. She reached out, found it hiding under the pile of rags, and closed the door again and locked it. She pulled the card on the sink edge. She placed the card on the sink edge and wrote on the back of it, Manager Matt Glad. If only, she thought. If there really was such a thing as a Just Us League, he would deserve anything they could do to him. Him and all the rest like him. She imagined a group of superheroines dressed like ninjas in black with gold tiaras. But it was just a stupid joke, like her stupid life. She stuffed the card and the pin in her pocket and started mopping up pee, and forgot about the card as survival returned to center stage. She was halfway through her first cup of coffee the next morning when she remembered the card. She pulled her jeans out of the laundry bin and searched the pockets. There it was, crumpled in the denim. She smoothed it out on her kitchen table, took a sip of coffee, and set the cup down so fast it spilled. She picked the card up with both hands and flipped it over and back several times. The name she had wrote was gone. The empty line where it said, Name your tyrant, was blank, the paper clean and smudge-free. Doesn't make sense. It must have been 2 cards. Gertie was digging through her dirty jeans again when her phone rang. It was Will, Matt's assistant and cohort. He was babbling, stumbling over his own words, kind of like me today. Gertie had never heard him so upset. Look, I don't have time to explain it. Just don't come in today. Someone will call you if the police need you. Gertie felt panic start up in her belly like a motor, stirring the blood around her heart until it wanted to explode. The police? Why would they talk to me? The card lay on the table next to our forgotten cup. It's none of your business. His voice trembled. Your job is to shut up and clean up, not ask questions. I've got a hell of a mess on my hands right now, and I'll just let you know when I need your mop. Now Matt's gone, and the fucking idiots didn't even take anything. He choked up. I don't have time to explain it. Just listen for once and don't come in. Got it? The line disconnected. Gertie sat down with a long, trembling exhale to take it all in. Just Us League? Impossible. And yet, normally Gertie would have been relieved to have a day off, but there was no way she was going to be able to stay locked up in her apartment with so many unanswered questions. She was told not to come to work, but that didn't mean she couldn't go and just walk past. Carefully, she picked up the business card and slid it in her wallet. I'm going to take a little break and remind you, if you are in chat right now, if you type Give Me Just Us in the chat for YouTube or Twitch, then at the end of this stream, I am going to select a winner. It's an automatic thing through StreamYard, and somebody will win a copy of this book, which I'm reading from, which is the Giving Us Devil Due anthology, and a commemorative signed limited edition bookplate. So, but now I will continue. And I'm reading with a little bit of a headache, so I apologize if I'm kind of stuttering. All right, so she's outside the Glad shop. She's went back to the Glad shop. The Glad shop looked normal, except for the police cars filling the small parking lot and the officer posted just inside the door. She could see him leaning against the door frame. Something had definitely happened, and it had happened to Matt. And it may have happened because of her. She had to see. With a rare boldness, she walked across the street and pulled the door open. The officer whipped around and stepped in front of the door so she couldn't open it wider. He blocked her view, but in the glimpse she got, everything looked normal. I work here, she said. Oh, not today. There's been an incident. Your manager should have called you to stay home. He did call. Gertie's brain whirred. It was hard to understand him, but I'm pretty sure he asked me to come in for a cleanup. He was pretty confused. I'm the janitor. The officer looked her up and down. This short, thick woman with iron gray curls could have been his mom. It's pretty bad back there. You won't be back there cleaning that mess. There's special crews for that. Forensics isn't done anyway. Genuine frustration blossomed in the back of her eyes, causing tears to well up. Please, I can't afford to lose this job. Can I just check in with him? I just want him to know I showed up. The officer sighed. Sure, okay, but save yourself some grief and don't go to the office. I think he's giving a statement in the break room. Gertie nodded and dabbed at her eyes. Thank you. I just need to let him know I showed up. He nodded and stepped back, opening the door for her. Just go straight to the break room, okay? They probably want your statement anyways. Gertie slipped through and headed toward the break room until she was out of sight of the shelves, and then doubled back to look in the office. She wouldn't believe any of this was real until she saw it for herself. She came out of the shelves and went down the hallway toward the office and storerooms and became a believer. The office door was open. There was a man inside, bent over, picking something off the floor with tweezers. He wore plastic booties over his shoes and blue latex gloves. Whatever he picked up, he dropped it into a baggie and sealed it. It looked like hair stuck to something. Gertie felt nauseous. Around him was chaos. The shelf was overturned, littering the floor with owner's manuals and paperwork. The desk chair was upside down on the desk, one of the wheeled legs jammed through the old school computer monitor. Glass from the large candy jar was everywhere, and peppermint candy was ground into the floor. A sticky spray of what looked like blood splattered the wall, desk, and floor. Gertie thought she could see teeth in the crushed candy. A shiver of fear shot through her. Matt was a jerk, but had this gone too far? The man in the booties stood up and saw her watching. Hey, you shouldn't be here, ma'am. He started toward her and she backed up. I didn't believe it. Gertie started crying. The guy came out, passed her, and shouted to the end of the hall. Hey, can I get an escort? I've got a wrong turn over here. Gertie covered her face with her hands. She felt like laughing, but not because this was funny. The laughter inside her came from the absurd notion that stupid old Gertie wrote a name on a card, and then this happened to the owner of the name. It was impossible, coincidental, and real. Crazy people in movies always laughed. Gertie felt pretty crazy. She collapsed against the wall and slid to a sitting position on the floor, giggling and sobbing simultaneously. A few officers came out of nowhere to help her and escort her outside to a police car. She struggled for a moment when she thought they were trying to put her in the back like a criminal, but then an officer was holding her face, calming her down. I'm sorry you saw that, he said. His words bounced against her without sinking in. She nodded anyway. We're going to take you home so you can calm down, okay? It'll be all right. She nodded again, and he led her to the passenger seat where she watched out the window, seeing nothing. Her thoughts were still turned inward, whirling as they led her down her hallway like a child and coaxed her into finding her keys. Gently, a woman officer led her inside, sat her down, and made her a cup of tea. Gertie had stopped laugh-crying, and her mind had slowed to rest on the Just Us League. Was it true? Did it work? Was this her fault? Beneath that was a smaller, quieter feeling that she wouldn't admit to. It was gladness. It whispered that Matt had gotten what he deserved. It told her that justice had been served. When the officer left, she carefully opened her wallet and took the card out. She felt cool and calm inside. There was something else she couldn't define. It made her grind her teeth slightly. Her breath was shallow and fast, and though she sat still, her heart was racing. She felt powerful. She pulled a pin out of her purse and took a deep breath. She had to know if this was real or coincidence. Imagine if it was real. No one could ever treat her like shit again. She pressed her lips together, laid the card on the table, and carefully wrote, Manager Will Bangar, on the empty space. And then she stared at it for quite some time and went back to bed. She hadn't expected to sleep, but then her alarm was suddenly screaming at her. sending her nerves racing like lightning bolts through her flesh. Trembling, she went through the motions to shower, make coffee, and get dressed. Finally, she looked at the card where she left it the night before. Once again, the line above Tyrant was blank and clean. Her heart yammered in her ears. She had to know. She found the number she was looking for on the paper taped next to the phone, picked up the receiver, and dialed. Ringing, 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 and then, "Hey, this is Will Banger's phone. Did you miss me? I guess you did. If you leave your number, I'll call you back. If you're one of my girl fans, I'll call you back. I'll call you right back." Beep. Gertie didn't leave a message. Instead, she shrugged her jacket on, made sure her keys and bus pass were in her purse, and carefully picked up the Just Us card. She slipped it in her bra. It didn't feel right to just toss it in her wallet like a receipt. She wanted it touching her, sending its magic and power into her skin. Then, carefully locking the door behind her, she went to work. I'm going to probably read for about 10 more minutes. Oh, I'm reading what Regina said, Justice League. Yep, and Justice League. And remember, if you want to win a copy of this and a book plate, a signed limited edition book plate, type Just Us. Wait, what's the message? Give me Just Us in the chat, and I will be selecting that winner in probably about 6:30, I think would be good. So she arrived to find more police cars jammed in the parking lot, a fire truck and an ambulance blocking part of the street in front of the shop. The Glad shop certainly didn't look normal now. Uniforms were rushing back and forth through the glass door. Radios blared instructions. She joined a small group of gawkers across the street. The words, "I'm sorry," were scrawled on the window in blue chalk marker. Sold in aisle 5. "What happened?" she asked the people around her. "I think some guy committed suicide," a man said. "You could see him hanging in the shop window there. They took him down just a few minutes ago." Inside, Gertie was all cool ice. Outside, the card burned against her skin like the firebrand. It was true. The Just Us League was real, and she was responsible for the deaths of 2 men. She didn't feel sorry. She felt uneasy. They both sucked. Most of the men she had ever known sucked. But did they deserve this? It didn't matter now. It was done. Across the street, a figure she recognized came out of the door. Jack, the assistant to the assistant manager, was standing against an officer and wiping his damp face. She'd never known him to be cruel. Often he'd come behind Matt and Will as damage control. More than once he'd forgotten to ring up Gertie's groceries after she'd clocked out. The card in her bra felt like a threat, and she had the urge to hide it away back in her wallet. Jack's eyes fell on her across the street. "Gertie!" He waved at her and started toward her. Outed, she could do nothing else but come toward him. They met in the middle of the street, police cars throwing red and blue lights in a frenetic race on the pavement around them. He bit his lip. "I am so sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not saying it was right what happened to Matt and Will, but you reap what you sow, and they did a lot of sowing." Behind him, an officer was taping sheets of brown butcher paper across the outside window. Another officer was stringing yellow tape across the storefront. Other officers were ducking to go under it. It is what it is. He swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing like a cork in the ocean. He cleared his throat. "Look, I know your landlord isn't going to stop charging rent because this disaster happened, but nobody's going to be working here anytime soon, if ever again. I've been doing payroll for the last year, so I reckon I'll just keep doing it for a little while longer until all this is figured out. I'll be mailing out paychecks the same as always until this is settled. Old man Glad isn't going to know or care, and I don't even know if there's anyone to keep this shop going now anyways." His face crinkled up. "Just don't worry about paychecks for a while, Gertie. Use this time to find something better. You deserve it." Gertie nodded. The card burned against her skin. He hugged her. Gertie hugged back, and then he let go. "I gotta go take care of this mess. You have my number. Call if you need anything. His face was like milk, shining in the mad lights. He gave a brief smile, a warm flash of sun, and turned away. Gertie walked away too, thinking. For the first time in her life, she felt free. She wasn't worried about making rent for at least a week or two. She'd be able to keep food in the fridge while she found something new. She didn't have to dread waking up each morning knowing she had to face humiliation. This was a fresh start. She could use this time to find something better. She could make better choices. She decided to walk home instead of taking the bus. She needed time to think and plan. For once, she wasn't in a hurry. 3 blocks down, she saw a thin woman, twice Gertie's age, sitting on a sidewalk, back to a low wall. As Gertie got closer, she saw the sign asking for money. The woman's head hung down, her hair covered part of her face in grimy cords. Above the wall, Gertie could see a man lying out under a tree in the grass, resting his head on a backpack, one eye half open, watching the woman. Gertie stopped, rummaged in her purse, and pulled out her wallet. She had a $10 bill in there. She pulled the Just Us card from her bra and held it. It still felt dangerous to her. It was dangerous, but not to her, and it was no longer for her. She wrapped the $10 bill around it and approached the woman, dropping the folded bill into the waiting cup. Above them, she felt the man watching. "We got to stick together," Gertie said. "Sometimes it's up to us to change things for the better. Just us." The older woman nodded. "Thank you. God bless," she said. Her voice lacked life. Gertie walked past to the end of the street and looked back before she turned the corner. The old woman was holding a white card, reading it. She looked around until she saw Gertie, who only smiled. "You can do this," she thought. The old woman slipped the card into her shirt where it vanished and looked away. Gertie rounded the corner and moved on. That is the end. And I apologize for that reading. Wow, like my head started hurting about halfway through that. But if you have entered Give Me Just Us into chat in either YouTube or Twitch, I will be selecting a winner in just a minute. I'll read the note from the author. One of the things about the story, this is a little bit of an autobiographical story. I really did have a manager. I was a janitor at one time, and I really had a manager named Manager Matt, and he was a dick, to put it lightly. He made me cry several times because he would make fun of my clothes. He was a young guy, like probably 26. And I think I was 40, 45. So I identify a lot with Gertie. But he was pretty much like that to everyone. And I actually wrote the story as therapy. We all hated him, everybody who worked there, because he was pretty much a jerk to everybody. And we were actually plotting to kill him in the parking lot. I mean, as a joke. And I realized that was pretty negative, and I was only hurting myself with that negative energy. So I wound up going home and writing this story. So that's the power of fiction. So if you would like to win a copy of this, Justice League in Giving the Devil His Due, and again, just to sum it up real quick, Giving the Devil His Due is the Pixel Project's first charity short story anthology under their Read for Pixels program, and it was published in partnership with Running Wild Press. The anthology features 16 stories in homage of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and that's one of the largest anti-violence against women events in the world. And you can find links to Giving the Devil His Due on my blog right now, which is AngeliaRicoSmith.com. And a bunch of us authors have signed these little plates like this. I think Linda Addison is writing poems on hers. I did my little Eurico chop right there. And I'm dropping them everywhere. I will not give you one of the dropped ones, I promise. But we're signing these. These are limited edition. This is also a limited edition cover. If you order a copy of the book, you can have one of these sent to you. All that information is also on my blog. And it goes to fighting violence against women. But let us see if we can pick a winner now. And I have never done this before. So let me make sure that I can do this correctly. This is your last chance to type "Give me justice" here. And it actually looked like it may not have worked. Give me. It says there's one entry. So I'm going to share the screen real quick. Share screen. Yes, and we want to share this screen. Okay. So if you can see that screen, that's what you need to type in there. And we are getting ready to select a winner in just a few minutes. I'll give it a few minutes because we have one entry. So that one person, which I think is Arlene, is going, no, that's fine. Just pick the winner right now. But yeah, if you go ahead and type "Give me justice," we will try out StreamYard's brand new contest choosing thing that they have. Yeah, type "Give me justice," like the whole phrase. Like this. Hopefully this doesn't enter me because I don't need to win it because I have it. Give me justice. Type the phrase just like it's written in blue. Oh, and we have three entries. So please let not one of these be me. So last chance, I will give just a few minutes. I will tell you about my birthday though. While I'm doing this, it has been kind of eventful. Had a poetry event this morning. That was fun with Amy Zollers over there. And yeah, and then I played Phasmophobia on my husband, Ryan Ozzie Smith's stream. And that's a ghost hunting game. And then I had a migraine and I took a nap and was like, oh my God. And he was actually going to read for me if I couldn't to make sure this happened. And now I'm here struggling to read like with a headache. And yeah, I think it's MSG. I think I got a hold of MSG last night because that is my kryptonite. I had Beyond Burgers or Beyond Meat, whatever those burgers are. I've been super excited to try them. And they tasted really good. And it kind of made me wonder that there might be MSG in it. And I think that was right. So, but we have 4 entries now. I'm going to do a final countdown. And yeah, it's brand new, Regina. They just started this. That's why I kind of don't know how to use it yet, but you can choose whatever phrase you want to have entered, and then we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to count down to 10. Anybody who's out there listening right now, last chance to enter. Give me justice is the phrase, just like you see on the screen. And I'm going to pick the winner. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. I feel like I should have effects. 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. And let's pick a winner. See how this works. Wish us luck because I've never done this before. Yeah, please don't pick me. And no, not me. Hi. Woo! Awesome. It's Arlene Olson. Arlene Olson, you just won a copy of Justice League. I will be sending this to you from Amazon with one of my book plates, and you can also go on the link and find out all the other authors that have book plates. But if you would like me to write something on this right now for you, to personalize it to you, I can do that right now with the whole world watching because that's technology. But yeah, congratulations. I hope you love this book. There is so many good authors in here. This has just been an amazing anthology. I'm going to read the TOC really fast. It's got Stephen Graham Jones in it, Karen Warren, Kanisha Williams, Lee Murray, Dana Cameron, me, Peter Terrias. I may have butchered that. I'm very sorry, Peter. Jason Sanford, Linda D. Addison, Leanna Renee Heber, Nicholas Kaufman, Hillary Monahan, Nisi Shaw, Kelly Armstrong, Eric Nunnally, Christina Henry, And then there's some really good information in here as well for getting help and for how to support this program. So I will be contacting you on Facebook, because I know that I have you on Facebook, to get your address so that I can send this to you tonight. And then I will enter to have your thing. And did you want me to put anything on this different, or just send it right like this, or have it sent like this? I guess I am sending it. So, but yeah, congratulations. That worked really good. I love that StreamYard has this function now. So, and that ends this stream. I thank you guys for coming and kind of sticking with me, even though I'm pretty dopey right now with the headache. And I'm really glad that I managed to make it through. So thank you very much. I'm going to stop sharing screen now. And yeah. And yeah, I don't know what else to say except ow. So thank you so much, guys, for coming. And that is it. And this was fun. I'll probably do this again, but maybe not with the headache. So love you all, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.